Okay, hey guys and girls, Say Tenico here, and we're about to do a scintillating, fantastic unboxing video of comics, Bronze Age comics that were sent to me by Sean from Pop Fun to Play. Pop Fun to Play is a YouTube site where he does a lot of comics haul videos, and he's an expert in toys and all kinds of pop culture ephemera. And he does some really cool videos, really fun videos with his son, his very young son, the cool kid. And they go through Brooklyn and their Brooklyn neighborhood and look at yard sales and pick up collectible gold and fun stuff like that. So it's always very charming, especially if you want to see what it's like to go to yard sales in Brooklyn. And he has a store in Brooklyn called Pop Fuzz, I believe. So I like his videos, and I always enjoy watching them. So I offered to have a box exchange where I would send him some comics and some magazines and some graphic novels. I even sent a pop toy in there from Doctor Strange. And he was going to send me back some Bronze Age comics. So I'm pretty excited to see what he sent. I think I know one comic that he sent, but I don't know the other 20 or 29. He said he was going to send like 30, but who's counting? So let's see what we got. I'm pretty excited. All right, so this is the package. As you can see, I haven't opened it. I took it out of the box, but that's about it. Let me cut into this. It's very well packaged in bubble wrap, as you would expect, because Sean is a professional and he is a very, very serious collector. But he has a lot of fun with it. He's not like obsessed with making the most money. In fact, I'm amazed he makes any money at all, because it seems like he likes the items so much that he doesn't want to sell any of them. So, we shall see. I can already see something that should be pretty fun in here. Alright. Yes. There's the wrapping tossed to a side. Here's a stack of comics I'm going to put right here. And let's look at the first comic. Is Defenders 125. And that's a much later issue of Defenders. Oh, actually, it's New Defenders. That's a much later issue of New Defenders. I mean, I used to collect Defenders back when they were, back in the issues 20, 30, 40, 50, and then I kind of ran out of steam, or I wasn't too into comics. It almost looks like a Bill Sienkiewicz sort of style, but I see GP down here, so I'm not sure if it's George Perez. I did tell him that when he was asking me what I would like, I said, stuff, sort of the Bronze Age icons of comics, George Perez, John Byrne, Sienkiewicz, Michael Golden, anything like that, and Marvel team-ups and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I like the cover, and it'll be interesting, and I like the logo. It'll be interesting to see what's in there and to check out the artist, and maybe I'll do another video where I actually crack these open and see who's inside. Okay, and I told him a lot of Marvel team-ups and Marvel 2-in-1s because I thought those were really fun. And again, my collection sort of ran out of steam. I was kind of getting out of comics to the point where they were hitting the 40s or 50s probably in Marvel 2-in-1, so I probably didn't get up. I definitely didn't get up this far, and so this is the Thing in She-Hulk, and let's see. Okay, it's Kupperberg and Gayosha, so I believe that's Alan Kupperberg did the cover for that. He did a lot of what ifs, I do believe, and has kind of a very straightforward sort of cartoony style. Is a guy who has a really good sense of humor in terms of his art, obviously, because he did a lot of what ifs. So that should be fun. And another New Defenders, and that's 130. And again, I'm not quite sure. Is that a CFC? I'm not quite sure who did these covers. I'll have to look these up. But they're very nice covers, Yeah, so I like it. It almost looks like, well, I don't know. And Marvel 2-in-1 56. That's a really nice issue. I like that a lot. First of all, like recognize right away, it's John Byrne and Terry Austin. Probably the definitive team on the Uncanny X-Men, particularly in the Bronze Age. Nobody's really matched them since. Of course, Chris Claremont wrote the Uncanny X-Men, and Byrne and Austin were pretty much the iconic team in that regards. And that's a great looking. I love the cover. Great looking issue 56. I definitely don't have it. It's The Thing and Thundra, and so that's a really super cover. And these are all in really nice shape. Of course, they're bagged and boarded. And so thanks a lot, Sean. That's a really cool issue. Pretty excited to look at it. And another one, and this one, I think I saw this online once. I think I was looking recently, and I may have seen this online, but this looks like a lot of fun. The Thing and the Living Mummy. I'm definitely interested in seeing what that looks like inside. I cannot tell who the cover artist is, but let's actually crack it open and see who did the art inside. It's a little bit later issue, but yes. Okay, the art inside again is Alan Kupperberg, who, he did a previous, the issue just before the one I'm showing now, and and he's got a nice, pleasant art style. It's not going to blow anybody away, but it's actually pretty well suited for Marvel 2-in-1s because it's a pretty lighthearted series, and as you can see, it's got a very pleasing sort of cartoony style, and I like that. I like this page a lot. The Living Mummy is pretty interesting. Yeah, that looks cool. So again, I like that one. Comes in early in this box is the Piece de Resistance. This is a comic that I knew was in here, and Sean was really incredibly nice in searching through his boxes. He had duplicate covers, duplicate issues, and actually even asked me if I wanted the direct sales or the retail cover, which shows you what kind of collector he is, that he likes to have both the direct sales and the retail version. That doesn't really matter to me. He sent me the retail version, which is really cool. It's got a little penciling of a date here, 11/15. Other than that, it looks like it's in really nice condition. Beautiful cover. The reason I like this so much, obviously there's a Blade Runner movie coming out, but that's completely irrelevant as terms of why I like the comic. I mean, the comic was done by Al Williamson and Carlos Garzon. And for my money, Al Williamson is probably the greatest draftsman to ever work in comics, along with his pal Frank Frazetta. But Frank Frazetta didn't do as many comics, and he certainly stopped doing comics when his painting career exploded and he became, I think, very wealthy from painting. Al Williamson continued to work in comics. They were both at EC Comics, and then Al Williamson eventually came back to Marvel, and he did some work as an inker, but he also did fantastic adaptations of Blade Runner, of Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, and of The Empire Strikes Back. And also Flash Gordon, which was, I think, for Golden Books. The Flash Gordon movie, the really cheesy one. But once again, his art is so beautiful that he can probably make anything look good. But for Blade Runner, I would say this is my favorite. And The Empire Strikes Back is also fantastic. Just the work on both of those adaptations are amazing. And I have number 1, and I also have the Marvel Super Special, which collects both of the issues, has a Jim Steranko cover, and then it's on actually better paper. And but I didn't have number 2, and so I didn't have this cover. So I'm really happy to get that, and thanks a lot to Sean, because he had to he's got so many comics and so many boxes and so much stuff that for him to just find any specific comic is pretty amazing. And it's the only thing that I specified. I didn't really specify anything else, but I knew that he had one because he had picked them up at a sale, I guess, and he was he did it on, he showed it on a video, and so I was like, well, if you've got a duplicate copy of that, I would love to have it. So big props to Sean. Thanks a lot. That's I'm looking forward to just looking inside, even though I've seen the art before, but I love the cover. And thanks. And this is always cool. I may have this issue, I'm not sure, but that's Marc Silvestri, and you can't go wrong with the Uncanny X-Men from this period. This, again, was kind of the period where it was sort of fading out for me. I collected up until about issue 200, and then I would pick them up sporadically after that. I kind of left by the Jim Lee era, before the Jim Lee era came along. So I saw some John Romita Jr. and some Marc Silvestri, but primarily after John Byrne left, and then Paul Smith came along, and he was fantastic as well. Then it sort of started to peter out, and I was kind of leaving comics in general, but that's a really cool cover and a really nice issue, and it looks like it's in great shape, and so fantastic. And a really cool issue of Captain America, and you can instantly see the style. That's absolutely George Perez. You can see it down here. George Perez and Joe Sinnott, the great inker. Joe Sinnott, probably the best inker on Jack Kirby as well, and just kind of one of those legendary inkers at Marvel, maybe one of the most iconic inkers at Marvel. George Perez, an absolute master. I think he just celebrated a birthday recently. And yeah, that's a great issue, 243. I don't have it, and it looks fantastic. And I really hope George Perez did the interior art, but he probably didn't. But maybe he did. But either way. And this is super cool. I'm really happy about this. Okay, this isn't the new Defenders. This is the regular Defenders. First of all, let's see. That's Don Perlin and Al Milgrom did the cover. And actually a really nice cover. But what I like about it, aside from the fact that I really loved the Defenders as a series, it was a really, really fun book. And again, I didn't collect it up this far, but I've been looking at Son of Satan comics for whatever reason. I mean, not because I've used the handle, but for whatever reason, I've just kind of been intrigued by them. So I've been looking at them online, thinking about purchasing some. And of course, they put him in the Defenders for a while, and so that's pretty cool. So, and I love that cover. Don Perlin is kind of a utilitarian artist at times. He's not one of the ones that, sends your pulse racing in terms of his style typically, but and Al Milgrom's kind of one of those Marvel stalwarts who was a inker and a penciler and a writer and did tons and tons of work at Marvel. But I like that cover a lot. Looks great. Okay, and that's the new Defenders again, and that looks like Mike Mignola, so that's pretty cool. And it looks like his style, indeed. I mean, the faces are a little bit different, the shading, the sort of heavier inking style. So that's actually a really cool cover by Mike Mignola. And very difficult to read what the inker's name is, but it doesn't strike a bell. But either way, really cool cover. Mike Mignola, of course, went on to create Hellboy. I actually have the first appearance of Hellboy, at least in color, because it appeared in John Byrne's X-Men. And so that's a really cool cover, too. I like it. And here's an Iron Man 193 and Tigra. Tigra is a really fun character. I don't see who the cover is. The figures, the faces, and everything are a little bit unusually a little bit awkward, so it's not it may not be an artist I remember or recognize. Got a tiny little tear at the bar, a tiny little missing chunk out of the corner, but that hardly matters. And actually it's still a pretty fun cover. He's stuck in, it looks like, his old gray suit, which was I think the original suit before they really revamped it and updated and made it a lot more modern, as you can see with the classic red and yellow suit there. So that's cool too. And Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man. I actually have the first issue, and not, everybody, a lot of people have the first issue. It's not a big deal, but it's not like having the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man. But I bought it off the shelves. I bought it when it first came out, so that was kind of cool. It's not in very good shape, though. And another series that I probably collected until the 40s or 50s, and then I was kind of out. This looks like it's a cover by Alan Milgrom again. No. It says Morgan. Okay. So I'm not familiar with Morgan, and Brad Breeding looks like he inked it. 1985. So, yeah, that was a little bit after I, stopped collecting. But a cool cover and a cool series. And this is a really nice one because, first of all, that looks like Arthur Adams. I may be wrong. I don't know if Arthur Adams did any covers for Peter Parker, but it kind of looks like his sort of facial, style and the hairstyle. And not quite sure, but it's a much earlier issue. See, this is 104, and this is Peter Parker 55. Really nice cover. But I don't see Adam's signature anywhere, so I'm not sure. I may be completely wrong on that. It's not super detailed as you would expect from him, but, that may have been part of the composition for that day. But, yeah, I like it. Amazing Spider-Man, always cool to get those. And F and R, so I'm not really sure. It could be Ron Friends, but I'm not positive. Much later issue. I've got issues in the 160s and a little bit prior, and up until about 200 again. And then I have a few after 200, and then I kind of stopped. And so, yeah. And I wasn't even reading comics when the black suited Spider-Man came along. I don't think. But, yeah. So that's cool. And this is a good one. Peter Parker again. And it's a really nice cover. It almost looks like a little bit of a throwback to the old John Romita style. But looks like AM is Alan Milgrom again. But the FH or EH should... EH is probably Ed Hannigan and inked by Alan Milgrom. And Ed Hannigan actually did some really nice covers, so that could be the case there. And sorry for my webcam pulsing like that. It's really frustrating. It's just trying to get a bead on the focus. And another Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man number 84. No idea who did the cover for that. It's probably, I think it may have been signed along here, but I don't see it. But pretty cool cover. And that was 67.84. So yeah, thanks. And that's a cool one. Marvel 2-in-1 100, The Thing and Ben Grimm. And that is Ron Wilson and Joe Sonat once again. And really nice cover. And I don't know if it says, so this is the end. I don't know if Marvel 2-in-1 ended at issue number 100. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I like that cover. And that should be fun. And it's a double-sized issue, and it's $1. So, pretty cool. Oops, upside down. And Marvel 2-in-1, well, 99. That leads up to it. Yeah, that probably was Ed Hannigan before on the Spider-Man. And here we go, Ed Hannigan. Unusually inked by John Byrne. Quite possible that Hannigan did the ROM and Byrne did the Thing, because it looks a little bit like his. Or it may have been Hannigan just penciled both and John Byrne inked them both, but that's pretty cool too. And that's number 99. And that's number 91. Ron and Chick, so that's probably Ron Wilson and Chick Stone. And that's a cool cover. And kind of funny. It's Marvel 2-in-1. It says starring The Thing. It doesn't tell you who the guest star is in this issue. And if you see the outline here, obviously it looks quite a lot like Batman. I don't know if that's probably intentional. Yeah, well, it must be intentional. No, not you. It can't be you. So that's a pretty good teaser for a cover. So let's see. Spoiler alert, if you haven't somehow read Marvel 2-in-1 and you somehow intend to, I'm about to spoil it for you because I am curious. I don't think it's Moon Knight, but they're definitely teasing. And the interior art is by Ron Wilson. So far I see Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange. There you go. So it's the Sphinx right there, who they fairly cleverly baited his silhouette on the cover to appear like Batman, and I think that was very much intentional. And looks like fun. Yeah, so that's cool. Okay. And we have an X Factor number 8. Is that from the first series? If so, that's pretty cool. I think in the last video I had like number 26 or 27, I think, when Walt Simonson was doing it, and actually had a signed copy that I get from the dollar bin, which is pretty awesome. I'm not really sure. That looks it could potentially be Simonson. He kind of messed around with art styles, and the figures sort of have that angularity, and so it could be, but could be somebody else too. As with all my videos, it's going to run long because I'm the only person that actually opens up comics and looks inside to see the art. Everybody else just shows the covers. Okay, it's Marc Silvestri, interior. So, that's probably a Marc Silvestri cover. And this is from 1986. Is that 86? I think so. So it's pretty cool. I don't recall Marc Silvestri doing... I don't know if this is like volume 2 of X Factor. Well, it was written by Louise Simonson. Yeah, it's volume 1. So, and Louise is Walter Simonson's wife, I do believe. And as I said, I wasn't sure whether Walt Simonson did the art on X Factor when Louise was still scripting it or not. But this is Silvestri, and art is very nice. So, like, he always has for when he was doing Marvel, X-Men, and I guess X Factor and a few other stuff, he had a much more sketchy style than he took to Image when he started doing Witchblade and stuff like that, which was much more the Image style. And this is really cool because that's a Jim Lee cover, so that's awesome. I didn't expect any Jim Lee. 277. And I certainly don't have it. It looks like Wolverine and Gambit. Again, well past the time that I was still collecting. Strange. They really whacked off all of Storm's hair. So, so that's pretty awesome. And I'll be definitely interested to see if that has Jim Lee art inside as well. And I'm not quite sure who inked that, but I like it. And this is a really nice one. 286, and that's Jim Lee as well. I think I have this cover. I think I have this comic, but I'm not positive because I think there's also like an X Factor, I do believe, with Apocalypse on it that has a similar cover, but I'm not positive. I may have randomly gotten this from the back issues or something at some point after I stopped collecting and came back to comics, but I'm not positive. So either way, very happy with both of those. Two really nice Jim Lee covers. Jim Lee's just a stellar draftsman in mainstream comics, so can't ever really complain. And this is a great cover. That's really nice of him to send that, because that's a really nice issue. Back kind of still in the classic X-Men. That looks like Paul Smith for sure. He had a very simplistic sort of cartoony style. I think he kind of graduated to animation, or he was from animation originally. And I've got a lot of Paul Smith stuff from the X-Men, and he signed like a Marvel fanfare for me they did, which was some of his most beautiful work. And so I love this cover. I love the simplicity of it, the beautiful composition. and it's, from X-Men and the 170s, which are really nice stories. That's when Chris Claremont was still doing it, and I don't have this issue. And what's strange about it? Well, I'm sorry, I just went on about Paul Smith, and it's actually by Romita Jr. So, which is this is much more in Paul Smith style than it is in John Romita Jr.'s, because he started doing a very sort of angulated style that you see in like the Eternals, and I think he did some Batman. He did a lot of stuff, and a lot of mainstream comics fans apparently don't like how stylized it is, but this looks so much like Paul Smith, he actually fooled me. I'm not really even sure with this Assistant Editors Month is dangerous to your health. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I don't know what that insignia is about. Nice. Really nice. Yeah, he was really nice to me to send these Uncanny X-Men, and this is really cool because this is Life Death 2, and that's by Barry Windsor-Smith, Chris Claremont and Barry Windsor-Smith. And Windsor-Smith was really experimenting with colors at this point, and I don't have this issue either, and I've seen it online many times, and so it's pretty cool that he sent that to me. Looks like a nice copy. Got kind of a little bending, a little soiling, no big deal. Yeah, so that's fantastic. Beautiful cover. Barry Windsor-Smith, of course, best known probably for Conan, the very early Conan, and then he did like a one shot of Iron Man. He did some Uncanny X-Men. He did a lot of other, he was never on any series particularly for very long, except for early Conan with Roy Thomas when he was kind of breaking in, and he's kind of one of the great artists from the Bronze Age with a really big following. And that's another Jim Lee cover, and I actually have this one, but that's a great comic to have, and really happy, perfectly happy to have a backup of it. I'm not sure, it looks like, I don't know if this is like a fold-out cover, I don't remember, because it's missing this like kind of razor-edged slice there. I don't think the copy that I have has that, but I don't know if somebody cut that, or yeah, maybe they did. So, so that's fine. It's still a really great cover, and great issue. And all of these X-Men are, of course, really beautifully illustrated. And we're down to probably the last 4 or 5 as I babble on, and that's a really cool copy and a really cool issue. Thanks a lot, Sean. That's you can see some bending and stuff at the bottom, so who cares? And yeah, it's got a little tape tear right there, probably where somebody made a big mistake. But other than that, it doesn't really matter. It's still Defenders number 20, which is really nice. I don't have that issue. Even like I said, most of my collection was very sporadic. I would pick them up. I would buy copies at 7-Eleven or the Red and White grocery store. And one week you would go and they would have, or 1 month, and they would have issue 20. And then the next time you would go, you wouldn't see anything. And then the next time you would go, it'd be issue 22 or 23. And you just have to buy that, and you just had to get used to big chunks. I don't remember too many cliffhangers that drove me crazy that I wasn't able to get, but I'm sure that happened a few times. So, but that's a really cool cover and cool issue, and I could not tell you who did the art on that because I'm a little bit rusty, but it's looking like I don't think it's Gil Kane, so even though the nostrils suggest it a little bit, but I like the cover. Wow, really nice. Wow, he really surprised me with that. I was just talking about Barry Windsor-Smith and doing Conan. He sent me a really great copy of Conan number 20 with a beautiful Barry Windsor-Smith cover. So that may be the crown jewel of this box. Really excited about that. It's got some it's got a little bit of tearing at the top here, and maybe a little bit of it's a little bumpy at the bottom, but other than that, a really nice copy. Looks beautiful. Beautiful in the bag. And I haven't seen this issue. I haven't even seen this cover. This is when he was still signing Barry Smith, which I do believe, definitely. I'm sure it's just, it's Windsor-Smith. There's no signature, or if there is, it's kind of buried in all the inking. But he became Barry Windsor-Smith, and he is a British artist, I do believe. But that's fantastic. I was just mentioning that. I'm shocked that he sent that. Those issues are pretty expensive. Or I don't know if they're expensive, but they're certainly very collectible because Windsor-Smith still has such a following. And in fact, when I went to Free Comic Book Day and picked up those 30 comics from the dollar bin, one of them, of course, was Conan, like number 11 or 12, and it was in the dollar bin, but it was beat to pieces. I mean, it was torn up. It was torn in the corner and kind of ragged on the cover and everything else. But the interior still looked nice, and it was $1, so I bought it just because it was Barry Windsor-Smith. So for him to send this issue, really, really cool, really great, and. Oh, nice. OMAC. I couldn't even read this when I was sitting out. Cool. Really nice. And he sent me several issues of this. OMAC, the One-Man Army Corps, created by John Byrne. I mean, this is illustrated by John Byrne, apparently, which I've never seen this, but created by Jack Kirby, one of Jack Kirby's many amazing creations. And most recently, I was pretty excited that Paul Pope, who is sort of a Kirby acolyte, even though I would say that he certainly established his own style. Also did some OMAC one-shots or short stories or something, but I haven't seen John Byrne's version. So that's a really interesting surprise as well. Book 1 of 4, book 4 of 4, and book 2 of 4. So I guess I'm missing just number 3, and that should be easy enough to find online. And you can see sort of Byrne's distinctive style, and all black and white. Let's just take a quick look at the interiors. I don't know if I've even seen this series from OMAC for Byrne. As I said, a lot of people have taken cracks at Kirby's work since he created so much, and as I said, one of those people was Paul Pope recently. Well, what's interesting in this is that, who published this? DC. Well, I'm kind of surprised DC published it and kept it black and white. I don't know if that was by Byrne's own desire to do it black and white, because there's a lot of stippling in here, a lot of zipatone. But yeah, really nice art. It's not as exciting as Byrne's art on Uncanny X-Men when he was working with Terry Austin. But Byrne's a really extremely talented draftsman, so you can still see his always evident skill in terms of draftsmanship. And definitely not for kids. But really interesting. And looks like Byrne kind of wanted to do a Kirby-esque sort of thing as well, and that Kirby actually wanted to get away from superheroes, and a lot of times he liked drawing street scenes. He liked drawing war comics and average people and normal people, and this is more of that than there is any kind of super heroics or OMAC showing up in the last page. And this is this is book 2 of 4, so curious as to whether he shows up at all in number 1. But there it is. But I shall see. So that is the entire box, and it's a fantastic box. Sean did a great job. He was really generous. Sent me some great comics. I know that he sent me only comics that he has duplicates of because he is a collector. I don't know about the Omax. Maybe he sent those just because he didn't like them. I don't know. But the Conan 20, absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate that. The Blade Runner 2, the time they took to find that and to, actually send me this issue. And the, another Barry Windsor-Smith X-Men. And some Byrne, some Perez, some Defenders. Really cool Defenders there. Early Defenders as well. Captain America with Perez. There's a great... My hand is blocking everything, isn't it? There's a great Blade Runner cover. And, yeah. Fun comics to read, and some that I just really appreciate for the art. So, that is the entire box. And I'll probably put a link to at least the video that Sean did opening the box I sent him, and once again, his site is Pop Fun to Play. And thanks so much to Sean from Pop Fuzz for sending this box. That was really awesome. And it's really fun to look through and a lot of really cool comics. I'll probably scan some and put them on the Bronze Age boards on Facebook eventually. And maybe I'll do another video in which, I don't know, I open them up. I don't know. Probably not. But I'll definitely read some of these or at least look at the art for some of them. And really happy to have all of them for my collection. I like them all. So, fantastic work. Thanks a lot, Sean. Really appreciate it. That was an awesome exchange, and maybe we'll do it again sometime. So, that's it, and it's a long video, so I'm out. Satanico, and thanks a lot for watching, and thanks. That's it. Bye. Bye. Bye, YouTube friends and neighbors.